2 years ago, Wong Lin suffered grievous injuries in the land of demonic spirits. His physical body was severely damaged, and his essence spirit was on the verge of collapse and dispersal. On top of that, a few piercing words from Mu Bingmei struck him deeply, triggering a backlash of his wounds and plunging him into unconsciousness. When he awoke, he was seated cross-legged atop a white stone slab. Behind him stood an elder, none other than the Vermilion Sacred Emperor. Over these 2 years, Wong Lin's split soul and true body had already separated. His true body sank into the depths of the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect's planet, while his split soul remained seated here, both recovering separately. In this span of time, the fire elemental energy within Wong Lin's body had advanced by leaps and bounds. He had already sensed the aura of pure nirvana during his time in the land of demonic spirits. However, to move from a glimpse of nirvana to true pure nirvana, one must first attain insight into the conceptual realm, a breakthrough that couldn't be forced. The more one rushed, the more the progress stagnated. Over these 2 years, Wong Lin's mind remained clear. He ceaselessly absorbed the fire elemental energy, and the primordial energy within his body had now reached its peak. The 9 mysteries transformation of the Vermilion Bird. Each transformation exponentially enhances one's divine art. But this divine art is extremely profound. Across all the generations of Vermilion Sacred Emperors, few have managed to cultivate it to its peak. The elder behind Wong Lin said as he raised his right hand and touched Wong Lin's back. Instantly, a surge of energy flowed through his fingertip and merged into Wong Lin's body. With your current cultivation, especially after your second awakening of the Vermilion Bird bloodline, the emergence of the white Vermilion Bird, and the acquisition of the Vermilion Bird fire armor, you are fully capable of mastering the first transformation of the 9 mysteries. Suddenly, flames erupted from Wong Lin's entire body. Explosive booming sounds burst forth, echoing in all directions like rolling thunder, resonating across every planet within the burning star domain. On one of the cultivation stars belonging to the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect, there stood a sky-piercing peak. This mountain was shrouded in flames, as though it were eternally ablaze. Yet strangely, amidst these flames, vegetation still thrived. Though not green, the mountainside was covered in purple-red trees. A warm breeze swept by, carrying a wave of heat. The leaves rustled softly, blending with the thunder-like rumbles from the sky, creating a unique and harmonious rhythm. At the summit of the peak sat a man in meditation. His head was disproportionately large, his body short and stocky. With eyes closed, he breathed slowly in and out. The moment the thunder echoed across the sky, he opened his eyes and gazed upward, his expression calm. Master's cultivation continues. I must also quickly adapt to this newly reborn body. This man was none other than Situ. Situ's body had collapsed in the land of demonic spirits. After arriving at the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect, with the help of several shattered Nirvana elders, he had reconstructed a body, using fire as flesh, wood as bone, and heaven and earth energy as blood. Through the force of his will, he reformed a body identical to his original one. This body required Situ to gradually attune to and refine it. Once he fully adapted, it would allow him to wield even stronger divine arts than before. Situ was not alone on the mountain. Not far away, in a depression, Lei Ji sat cross-legged, sweating profusely as he cultivated. In front of him were several crimson jade vials, filled with medicinal pills for his absorption. The thunder overhead gradually faded, spreading into the distance and echoing across the blazing star domain. Farther within this domain, on an oddly shaped planet, a vast crimson desert stretched for tens of thousands of miles. At this moment, a fierce storm howled across it. The storm reached the sky, sweeping up massive waves of sand. Sparks flared where the grains collided, and intense heat radiated from within. Even the storm winds carried a scorching blaze. As the thunder echoed in the heavens, the storm abruptly halted. A vortex formed at its center, gradually expanding to reveal a figure seated in meditation deep within. This man was immense, like a mountain of flesh. Nearly naked, his body was drenched in sweat, though the size of the meat mountain showed no sign of shrinking. Wiping the sweat from his brow, The elderly man looked up at the sky with a bitter smile. Shaking his head, he muttered, "Ever since I crossed paths with Wong Lin, misfortune has followed me like a shadow. I was gravely wounded in the land of demonic spirits. Sigh. Still, it could be worse. He's not someone who forgets kindness. Here in the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect, at least, things are far safer than out there." As for the seal that Wong Lin had placed on him, it had long since been undone over these 2 years. But after the battle in the land of demonic spirits, even above this man's head floated a chunk of profound ice radiating a frigid aura. With each activation of the formation, part of the flame it conjured would merge into the ice, undergo a transformation within, and then disperse, only to be absorbed by the man below. As he absorbed the transformed energy, his injuries gradually healed, and he became significantly stronger than before. Most critically, the toxins in his body were forcibly suppressed under the dual pressure of ice and fire. Thunder rumbled across the sky. The man suddenly opened his eyes, sweat pouring down his forehead. Despite the presence of profound ice, the searing heat of this place still had him drenched. "I can't take it anymore," the man roared, leaping to his feet. He wrapped his arms around the profound ice, and his body trembled as a look of relief crossed his face. But just as he was starting to enjoy the moment, a cold snort echoed from afar. "If you don't want to die from poison, get down here immediately," came a stern voice. "This damn place is way too hot. If it weren't for my brother being here, I'd have left long ago," the man shouted, clinging tighter to the profound ice and gulping down its chill. Just then, a beam of red light howled through the air from the distance. In a flash, it morphed into an elderly man, the very same shattered Nirvana elder from the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect. He frowned and struck at the air with his right palm. With a thunderous boom, the man was forcibly separated from the ice and slammed back onto the ground. "Situ brat, since this old man accepted the Sacred Emperor's command to purge the poison from your body, you will follow every order I give. Disobey, and I won't hesitate to teach you a lesson." The man was none other than Situ Nan. After suffering grievous injuries in the land of demonic spirits, the toxins in his body had flared uncontrollably. Without the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect's intervention, he wouldn't have survived even 2 years. Yet these 2 years had been utter torment. At the root of that torment stood the detestable old man before him. No matter how he tried to reason with him, nothing worked. The old man was relentless, never straying more than 100 feet away. The moment Situ Nan's attention wavered, a divine art would descend upon him. "Think you're hot stuff just because you're shattered Nirvana? Damn it, just you wait. One day, I'll let you find out what it feels like to be steamed alive." Situ Nan muttered bitterly, picking himself up and sitting cross-legged beneath the profound ice, resuming his breathing practice. The elder's expression softened into a smile. Over the past 2 years, he had actually come to appreciate the young man. Although he'd interrupted Situ Nan's absorption of the ice, it was all for his benefit. Every time he acted, it was with care, never truly harming him. Now, hearing the retort, he chuckled and said, "Good. I'll be waiting for that day. You wait." Situ Nan rolled his eyes. Deep down, he understood the elder meant well. But the heat here was unbearable, and the constant restrictions on his freedom were stifling. Every time he recalled his past princely lifestyle, it made him sigh and reminisce with endless regret. "You ladies from Phoenix Lawn Star, just wait too," he added with a mutter. Thunder rolled across the heavens, echoing into the distance until it faded away. Wong Lin took a deep breath. With both hands forming hand seals, he swung them outward. Instantly, the white stone beneath him surged with intense heat that streamed into his body. Behind him, an elderly figure grew increasingly pale, the aura of death around him thickening. In a hoarse voice, he said, "I fear I won't last much longer. I only hope that before I die, you can master the first transformation of 9 mysteries. Then I can entrust the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect to you with peace of mind. Only by mastering the first transformation of 9 mysteries can you wield the ancient sacred artifact of my sect." Wong Lin, still seated cross-legged, withdrew his hands as waves of heat coursed through his body, circulating along his meridians. He exhaled slowly and opened his eyes. There was no simple way to describe those eyes. They sparkled like starlight, as if containing all the heavens and earth. In their brilliance, everything else seemed to bow in submission. Deep within them was a wisdom that pierced all things. "Rest assured, Sacred Emperor, I will do my best," Wong Lin said calmly. "You once said you suspected the Azure Dragon Sacred Emperor was trapped in the Renegade Immortal world. That's no small matter. But the opening of the Renegade Immortal world is controlled by the name of Immortal Lord Xun'er was like thunder to my ears in my youth. His whereabouts were of such significance that the Four Saints sect, using all its strength, could only determine that he was last located at the very center of the Alliance Star Domain, within the scope of the Alliance's headquarters. I suspect that the 2-year lockdown at the Cultivation Alliance headquarters is closely related to this person, Xun'er." The elder pondered deeply, speaking slowly. "I know of your relationship with Xun'er. After you complete the first transformation of the 9 mysteries, when I retrieve the Renegade Immortal Crystal, I may obtain more concrete information about Xun'er." The elder cast a gentle glance at Wong Lin, his eyes filled with affection. This young relative before him was his hope, and the hope of the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect. For this child, he would stop at nothing. The land of demonic spirits. This child still remembers his friends in times of crisis. Even after securing comfort, he doesn't forget Xun'er. A person like this is enough to reassure me to pass the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect on to him, and even more so to teach him all of my divine arts. The elder silently nodded, raising his right hand once again and placing it on Wong Lin's back. His primordial energy surged into Wong Lin's body, merging with his primordial spirit and enveloping the flame seed within. Time passed slowly, and before long, a year had gone by. During this time, the situation within the Alliance Star Domain had not changed much. Disputes continued, and the fires of war raged on. In the eastern part of the Alliance Star Domain, where the Four Saints sect was located, it was not too involved in the chaos. However, due to the death warrant targeting Wong Lin issued by the Alliance headquarters, there were still some bold individuals who sneaked into the Four Saints sect's territory. But these people couldn't stir up much trouble and were all slain by the sect's patrolling members. Even those with high cultivation who avoided the patrols often fell victim to the elders of the Four Saints sect once they ventured deeper into the sect's territory. The war between Luo Tian and the Alliance continued, while the Corpsine sect remained peaceful. They regularly appeared on the battlefield, collecting the remains or corpses of the fallen, and facilitating trade in these bodies between the two factions. The ongoing war greatly benefited the Corpsine sect, as a steady stream of bodies flowed from the battlefield into their hands, while transactions involving immortal jade, magical artifacts, materials, and other trade goods also flowed into their sect. In the entire Alliance Star Domain, it seemed only the Kungsu realm and the Four Saints sect were relatively peaceful, as if they were isolated from the rest of the world. Over the course of the year, Wong Lin's breathing became faster and faster. The booming thunder that emanated from his body reverberated continuously throughout the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect's star domain, so much so that even many of the sect members who had never seen him in person had heard the sound and kept it in their hearts. All the sect members knew that the one who generated these thunderous sounds, Wong Lin, would be their future sacred emperor, the hope of the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect. However, wherever there were people, there would be disputes, and where there were disputes, there would be struggles for power. The same was true within the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect. Not everyone accepted Wong Lin. In fact, many were resistant to this sudden newcomer. Among them, 3 individuals who had been selected to cultivate as the next sacred emperor from a vast pool of sect members were particularly dissatisfied. Some of the older generation of cultivators also voiced their discontent with the arrangement for the new sacred emperor. However, the authority of the sacred emperor was immense, and these individuals did not dare to defy it. 3 years had passed, over 1,000 days and nights, and Wong Lin had scarcely stopped his breathing exercises. Particularly since the Vermilion Bird Sacred Emperor continuously infused his primordial energy into Wong Lin's body, coupled with the scorching heat contained within the stone they resided in. Wong Lin's cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds. His primordial spirit had fully recovered, and the flame seed inside was now almost half dissolved, emanating a mighty force that enveloped Wong Lin's entire being. On his right arm, 7 fire totems shimmered faintly. This immense power was the source of the thunderous booming sounds within Wong Lin's body. As he continued absorbing energy, on this particular day, the fire elemental energy within Wong Lin's body reached its limit, as if ready to explode. A sudden feeling of tearing pain swept across his body. In that instant, Wong Lin's eyes snapped open, and with swift hand seals, he rapidly pressed several points on his body. Each time his fingers touched his skin, the immense primordial energy inside him would dissipate slightly. After 7 quick presses, the energy that had almost caused an explosion within Wong Lin's body was finally dissipated, and the intense pain faded away. Sweat drenched Wong Lin's clothes, turning into a cloud of white mist rising into the air. This is the 8th time. Wong Lin exhaled deeply, speaking slowly. Over the past 3 years, Wong Lin had experienced such moments 8 times. Each time, his internal energy reached its peak, and his body, on the verge of exploding, would compress the elemental fire energy at a rapid pace, allowing his body to withstand even more energy. In the first 4 instances, it was the Vermilion Bird Sacred Emperor who suppressed the primal energy within Wong Lin's body. After that, Wong Lin completed the remaining attempts on his own. The moment the primal energy within his body was subdued, a new totem appeared beside the 7 fire totems on his right arm. With 8 totems now surrounding him, only one more was needed to form a complete circle. The first transformation of the 9 mysteries involves the concept of 9 lifetimes of cultivation. You must continually absorb the power of flames to form 9 fire totems. These totems represent the essence of your 9 lifetimes of cultivation. Once they all explode, they will unleash the power of 9 lifetimes, absorbing all of it into one, sealing it to become the first transformation of the 9 mysteries. The term transformation does not mean change, but rather enhancement, enabling you to unleash your utmost strength during this transformation. Only then can I safely allow you to become the Sacred Emperor and allow you to venture to the Cultivation Alliance. The voice of the Vermilion Bird Sacred Emperor, filled with age, reached Wong Lin from behind. However, my time is running out. Recently, I have felt the shadow of death closing in. I must accelerate the absorption of the 9th lifetime's primal energy. This process will be painful, but you must endure. Will you agree? Wong Lin remained silent for a long while before nodding, determination appearing in his eyes. Good. The Vermilion Bird Sacred Emperor's eyes sparkled with approval, but soon his expression shifted to one of regret. He sighed softly. If only I had given you the Vermilion Bird mark back when I was still in my prime, and if you had awakened the Vermilion Bird sooner. Sigh. Shaking his head, he said no more. Taking a deep breath, he slammed both hands onto the stone beneath him. With a thunderous roar, his body shot into the air and, hanging upside down, connected with Wong Lin's celestial point. His hands formed seals, and in an instant, fire elemental energy surged from the Vermilion Bird's Sacred Emperor's body, flooding into Wong Lin's own. The white stone beneath Wong Lin grew intensely hot, and the energy transformed into streams of flame, also rushing into Wong Lin's body. In an instant, the primal energy within Wong Lin surged to an unimaginable level. But the pain from this forced infusion was beyond the capacity of most to endure. Even Wong Lin could not escape the agony. His entire body exuded dense white mist, his sweat transformed into vapor. As the primal energy surged within, the excruciating pain made Wong Lin's face twist in agony. Low growls escaped his mouth. At that moment, he seemed as though he were struggling in a furious ocean, desperately fighting for survival. As time passed, Wong Lin's growls grew louder. By the final moment, it was as if he were roaring. His veins bulged, threatening to burst, and the primal energy within him surged even faster, rumbling as it exploded from his body, mixing with his roars and spreading in all directions. At that moment, the entire Blazing Star domain could hear his cries of pain. In this suffering, Wong Lin could not escape, nor could he sever his connection to the pain. He had to focus all his attention on constantly circulating the vast primal energy flooding his body. If he failed to do so, his body would immediately explode. The vermilion bird's sacred emperor, too, was left with no choice but to proceed in this manner. In recent months, he had truly felt the approach of death. He knew his life was nearing its end. Probably only 3 months remained. After 3 months, the third heavenly decay would strike again, and he would die without a doubt. The intense pain made Wong Lin's roars shake the heavens. On the 7th day, his primal energy once again reached its peak. The vermilion bird's sacred emperor, now even more aged, collapsed amidst a cloud of death aura, falling behind Wong Lin. Death? What is death? The vermilion bird's sacred emperor's face was ashen, yet his eyes were filled with anticipation as he looked at Wong Lin in front of him. He was not afraid of death. What terrified him was dying with regret. He feared that there would be no successor to the vermilion bird sect, and that it would fall to ruin. He felt guilty before his ancestors and the entire vermilion bird sect. It must succeed. In that moment, Wong Lin was his only hope, his last chance to pass on his legacy with peace, allowing him to face death with a smile. With a roar, Wong Lin's primal energy exploded outward, his body surrounded by a thunderous rumble. Under the overwhelming force, the unimaginable pain caused Wong Lin to raise his right hand, preparing to seal the primal energy within himself. A look of disappointment flashed in the vermilion bird's sacred emperor's eyes, but he did not stop him. He knew that few could endure such pain and use it to break through the first transformation of the 9 mysteries. Though it would increase the chances of success and shorten the time required, it was still a rare feat. Perhaps I've asked too much of him. After all, he is still just a child who has cultivated for only over 1,000 years. It's my fault. My time is running out. The vermilion bird's sacred emperor's expression grew weary, and he silently sighed, closing his eyes. But just as he closed them, Wong Lin's right hand, which was about to seal his own primal energy, suddenly froze in place. His eyes were filled with unshakable determination and a resolve to press forward without hesitation. 8th Fire Totem, activate. Wong Lin struggled to raise his head, letting out a low growl. Immediately, the 8th Fire Totem on his right arm erupted into flames, shooting straight upward. In the blazing star domain, it seemed as though a flame blossom had bloomed. Wong Lin's body leapt into the air with a long, earth-shattering howl. The blooming fire blossom immediately swirled like a tornado and rushed towards him, crazily diving into his body, also drawing the flames from the entire burning star domain. At this moment, the entire burning star domain, where the vermilion bird sacred sect was located, erupted in a frenzy. At this moment, all living beings within the burning star domain were shaken to their core, and they all looked up. First transformation of 9 mysteries. Inside the vermilion bird sacred sect, many elders revealed expressions of excitement no less than when they had first learned of the vermilion bird's awakening. The vermilion bird awakening does not necessarily mean becoming the sacred emperor, but the first transformation of 9 mysteries certainly does. It symbolizes the passing of the mantle between 2 generations of sacred emperors. On his right arm, only 7 fire totems remained, and outside his body, the fire blossom that had just opened up radiated like a blazing sun. The thick fire elemental energy rapidly rushed into Wong Lin's body. Inside Wong Lin's body, the unimaginable fire elemental energy swept through like a storm. The thunderous boom echoed across the heavens, nonstop, allowing everyone in the burning star domain to clearly hear it. The intense pain felt like his body was being torn apart. It was as if his body was a bottle, and now, it was being forced to contain 9 times the amount of elemental energy. The pain was unimaginable. The vermilion bird's 9 mysteries transformation was the simultaneous explosion of 9 generations of elemental energy. After continuous compression, it forced the cultivator to unlock the first transformation of the vermilion bird. The excruciating pain caused Wong Lin's face to be covered in veins, and after only enduring 2 generations of elemental energy, it felt as though his meridians might burst open. But to give up was not Wong Lin's choice. Gritting his teeth, ignoring the sweat pouring down his body, he raised his left hand again and pointed at the fire totem on his right arm. The 7th fire totem ignited instantly, blooming once more on Wong Lin's right arm. At the same time, the thunderous sounds within Wong Lin's body reached a new peak, as the thunderous roars echoed madly in all directions. A mist of blood suddenly sprayed from Wong Lin's body, swirling around him. But as soon as the blood appeared, it was immediately evaporated by the surrounding flames, turning into a dissipating blood mist. The elemental energy from 3 generations fused into his body, and the feeling of his body wanting to explode intensified. Wong Lin trembled all over and let out a roar towards the sky. Roar! As he roared, a crimson light flashed around his body, and the crimson armor manifested in that instant, wrapping around him. The moment the armor appeared, the unimaginable elemental energy inside Wong Lin's body seemed to find an outlet, rushing wildly into the armor, causing the crimson radiance of the armor to intensify. Not far away, the vermilion bird's sacred emperor on the stone slab gazed at Wong Lin without blinking. His expression showed a mixture of expectation and nervousness. His right hand was already raised, ready to act at any moment. If Wong Lin couldn't bear it, he would intervene immediately. Though failing to achieve the first transformation would disappoint him, the second awakening of their clan was far more important. I was too impatient. This person has average talent. Forcing him like this might end up harming him, sigh. He had made up his mind that if Wong Lin showed signs of failure, he would immediately step in to save him. The appearance of the vermilion bird armor alleviated the pain within Wong Lin's body. He exhaled deeply, and with his left hand, he once again pointed at his right arm. The 6th fire blossom suddenly appeared, and the almost maddened elemental energy exploded out. Since I have to endure this pain no matter what, I might as well. A hint of determination appeared in Wong Lin's eyes as his left hand, after opening the 6th totem, didn't stop. He tapped 3 more times. 5th totem, 4th totem, 3rd totem. With a series of taps, 4 fire totems were almost simultaneously activated by Wong Lin. In that instant, the elemental energy of 4 generations shook the heavens and resonated throughout the entire burning star domain. Even the vermilion bird's sacred emperor's pupils constricted at the sight of Wong Lin's mad actions. To him, Wong Lin's core seemed to possess a certain frenzied and defiant spirit. This person has cultivated for over 1,000 years and reached his current level, able to achieve the second awakening of the vermilion bird. This is no coincidence. It is deeply tied to the ruthless and rebellious nature within him. With the elemental energy of 4 generations, combined with the energy inside Wong Lin's body and the armor, 7 generations of energy suddenly flooded Wong Lin's body. With a loud boom, Wong Lin spat out a mouthful of blood and raised his right hand, pointing at his forehead. Instantly, a white vermilion bird flew out from his spiritual center. As soon as it appeared, the cry of the vermilion bird rang out, and Wong Lin's elemental energy surged into the vermilion bird, causing it to rapidly grow in size, almost blotting out the sky. The vermilion bird was once captured by Tian Yunzi, but with the arrival of the vermilion sacred emperor, how could Tian Yunzi take the spirit of the vermilion bird away? With the appearance of the vermilion bird, Wong Lin gritted his teeth and endured the excruciating pain coursing through his body. With a low growl, his left hand once again pressed onto one of the remaining 2 flame totems on his right arm. In that instant, the flame totem transformed into an entire lifetime of primordial energy, swiftly integrating into Wong Lin's body. At that moment, Wong Lin felt as if his entire being, from the inside out, was burning, as though he was inside the heavenly forge, being continuously refined. At this moment, Wong Lin was unaware that within the burning star domain, individuals from the vermilion bird sect were spreading their spiritual senses, witnessing the rise of the new sacred emperor through their unique, familial methods. Many familiar figures were also paying attention to this event. On the mountain peak where Lei Ji and Datu were located, the two no longer focused on healing, but instead raised their heads to look at the sky. Vaguely, they both felt that Wong Lin was like a phoenix in the flames, enduring the process of nirvana. My lord. In the desert storm, the storm gradually dissipated, and Floating Wind Master stared blankly at the sky, murmuring, "Such powerful world energy. Could it be? Could it be that his 3 years of cultivation have reached the stage of completion?" On another cultivation star, Situ Nan also stopped his breathing exercises, and his eyes shone with light. focusing on the sky with a look of nervousness. The elder from the Vermilion Bird sect beside him didn't urge Situ Nan to continue cultivating, but also gazed at the sky, his expression filled with anticipation and excitement. At this moment, the elder's ancient heart could not help but be stirred with emotions. On the same cultivation star as Situ Nan, two other individuals familiar to Wong Lin were present. One was a woman in the northwest of the star, where a sea of flowers bloomed. The flowers, able to survive the intense heat, were rare, but not impossible to find. At this very moment, a woman sat cross-legged in the midst of a nearly entirely crimson fire sea. This woman was not the flower consort, but the silver-clad woman. She raised her head to gaze at the vast sky, her expression glowing with a strange light. After 3 years, she seemed to vaguely recall something. On another part of the cultivation star, a man stood in a cracked former swamp, his upper body bare. Countless runes floated around him, and vicious beasts capable of surviving in such a scorching environment circled nearby. However, at that moment, all the beasts were dead, their foreheads cut open. This person was Ta Shan. He bit his fingertip and began to draw on a beast hide, but suddenly raised his head, pausing for a moment. "My lord, is he about to exit his retreat?" Also, in this burning star domain, on the highest peak of a cultivation star at the edge, a black stone statue stood, identical in form to Wong Lin. Beneath the statue sat a young man cross-legged. For the past 3 years, this youth had remained motionless, guarding the statue. Now, he raised his head, hearing the booming sounds like thunder, his face showing a hint of excitement. "Master." He was 13. On a cultivation star where the soul refining sect was located. In a city belonging to the Vermilion Bird sect, an elder with a weathered face sat on the city wall, holding a wine flask, drinking it down slowly, his expression filled with bitterness. For 3 years, he had always been like this. The sky thundered, and crimson lights spread across the heavens, prompting the elder to look up briefly before lowering his gaze again and continuing to drink. "Second brother, third brother, I'm sorry." Tears fell from his eyes as he drained the flask. "Xun'er, go fetch me some more wine." He tossed the flask down towards the foot of the city. Behind him stood a young woman with an extremely beautiful face. She bit her lower lip, recalling how, when she had been brought to this place by the Vermilion Bird sect, Chen Dao had been just like this. A pang of sorrow filled her heart as she silently turned and left. "I'm sorry. Second brother, third brother." The elder's painful voice still echoed softly in the girl's ears. In this burning star domain, there was another place, also bathed in high temperatures, yet it seemed as if an invisible whirlwind surrounded the area, causing the flames to swirl around. "Great Demon King Wong Lin, you son of a bitch, I have no grudge with you. Why throw me here to suffer from the pain of the flame toxin? Grandmaster Wang, please spare little Su Zi. This place is too painful. Slaughter Star Wang, if you push Su Grandpa too far, I'll fight you to the death." These wretched curses and pleas for mercy had not stopped for the past 3 years. Occasionally, screams of agony could be heard, causing the Vermilion Bird sect members to avoid the area whenever they passed by, not wanting to listen to the loud sounds. In the center of it all, a person sat cross-legged. This individual was surrounded by flames, constantly using divine arts to resist. Any carelessness would result in immediate burning by the flames. The person before us is none other than Su Ligua. In this moment, he appears to be in an extremely disheveled state, but the light in his eyes shines brighter than ever before, far surpassing what it was in the past. In the 3 years he has spent here, surrounded by the flames and constant pressure, he has been forced to desperately absorb the ancient sword intent inheritance he acquired, allowing him to keep struggling to survive. Whenever Su Ligua swings his sword, the flames in front of him dissipate slightly. At the same time, curses inevitably spill from his mouth, a habit that has developed over these 3 years. "Wong Lin, if your grandfather Su gets out, I will never let you go." As soon as his voice fell, Su Ligua's body suddenly shuddered. He spun around abruptly and gazed into the distance, a look of fear flashing in his eyes. "Damn it, that son of a BTCH Wong Lin, is he really about to break through? Heaven, open your eyes and make sure he can't get out. Make sure he can't. No, wait. If he can't get out, How will I? But no, I have to get out. I must get out. Within the star domain, flames rage, and Wong Lin's anguished roars echo as he opens one of the remaining 2 flame totems. The immense primordial energy it releases only intensifies his suffering. At this moment, Wong Lin is clad in crimson armor, with his white hair fluttering. Behind him, a massive white vermilion bird spirals, constantly absorbing the energy within his body. Yet, even with this, the integration of 8 generations of primordial energy is still too much for him to bear. The tearing pain grows more intense, but instead of succumbing, it ignites Wong Lin's rebellious spirit. Amidst the agony, he throws his head back and laughs maniacally. The twisted expression on his face turns his laughter into something almost insane. In that instant, Wong Lin seems to be surrounded by a fireball, the unbearable heat searing through him. His body begins to burn. You've reached your limit. The vermilion sacred emperor sighs lightly, raising his hand to point at Wong Lin. He understands that this time, forcing the breakthrough into the first transformation of the 9 mysteries is something Wong Lin cannot withstand. While the 8 generations of primordial energy might have been manageable, once the 9th generation activates, Wong Lin might not even survive long enough to succeed. He would be burned alive, with his body and soul destroyed. Just as the vermilion sacred emperor is about to stop Wong Lin suddenly turns around, ignoring the burning of his body. He glares at the vermilion sacred emperor, his voice hoarse and piercing through the flames surrounding him. I'm not at my limit yet. You? The vermilion sacred emperor stares into Wong Lin's eyes, filled with a near madness. His eyes are full of unwillingness, defiance, and a resolve to challenge fate itself. It's like the unyielding roar of an invincible demon, sealed in the depths of the 9 underworlds by the heavenly Tao. No matter how many years pass, that defiant roar never fades. It will never submit. At this moment, the vermilion sacred emperor understands. This path Wong Lin walks is one of defiance. Reverse cultivation leads to the Tao. Defying the Tao leads to heaven. Defy heaven and change fate. The burning of his body doesn't make Wong Lin give up. He raises his right hand and touches his brow. Immediately, his primordial spirit rushes toward his forehead. In an instant, a vortex appears on his brow, and the primordial spirit of the primordial thunder dragon bursts forth with a flash of lightning. His primordial spirit bursts from his brow with a roar that shakes the heavens. Roar! The primordial thunder dragon calls upon the power of heaven and earth's thunder. In that moment, the entire burning star domain is flooded with an overwhelming thunderous aura. Arc-shaped bolts of lightning instantly spread throughout the entire starry sky. In that moment, every cultivator in the burning star domain feels the intense, thunderous energy that fills the heavens and earth. The thunderous roars replace all other sounds, turning into endless echoes. Bolts of lightning twist and form, like dancing silver serpents, rushing from all directions to converge on Wong Lin. The lightning moves so quickly that all the cultivators in the star domain can only see the sky suddenly filled with bolts of lightning. From above, one can clearly see that beneath the endless lightning, boundless and endless waves of thunder and lightning surge toward Wong Lin. It's as if a thunderstorm capable of sweeping the entire star domain has begun within this burning star domain. At the center of this thunderstorm, Wong Lin's body continues to burn, his form constantly struck by lightning, making him stand within a whirlwind of lightning and fire. In that instant, the white vermilion bird behind him charges straight toward Wong Lin, merging with him. The totem on his armor glows as the vermilion bird's primordial energy floods into his body. At the same time, the primordial energy scattered within his armor flows backward, rushing into Wong Lin's body. In this moment, Wong Lin's body contains the full force of 9 generations of primordial energy, everything he has compressed after 8 seals over the past 3 years. With a tremendous roar, Wong Lin seemed to transform into a human torch. Intense flames rapidly spiraled around his body, forming a massive flame vortex. At the same time, the flames in this burning star domain appeared to respond to a call, drawing together toward Wong Lin like a thunderstorm converging with lightning. The moment the eternal flames that had burned since the dawn of time within the star domain began to move, they stirred a violent upheaval, shocking the entire domain. The flames and thunder intertwined, crimson and silver flashing together, creating a fusion of fire and lightning. In the eastern part of the Alliance star domain, the vast flame star domain, covering nearly a third of the area, erupted in an instant. The sea of flames spread, causing the fiery light to surge out and pierce the sky. Within the Azure Dragon Sacred Sect, a swarm of fierce beasts, as small as mosquitoes, buzzed between giant trees. Leading them was a massive purple mosquito beast, nearly the size of a small mountain. While flying, the beast suddenly halted and turned its cold eyes toward the vermilion bird sacred sect in the distance, excitement gleaming in its gaze. It wasn't just this beast. Almost all the members of the Azure Dragon Sacred Sect sensed a change in the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect at that very moment. On a green planet at the center of the Azure Dragon Sacred Sect, a towering tree stood, and at the top of the tree, 3 elders sat cross-legged. In that instant, all 3 elders opened their eyes simultaneously. A new emperor of the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect is about to be born. The 3 looked at each other, their faces lit with joy. They leapt into the air and headed straight for the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect. A similar scene unfolded at the Black Tortoise Sacred Sect, where a massive frog beast, about several dozen zhang in size, lay lazily in a swamp. This beast, sluggish as ever, would occasionally flick out its tongue, snaring a passing small creature and swallowing it whole. But in that very instant, the frog's sleepy eyes snapped open. Electric sparks erupted from its body, transforming the area into a thunderous hell. It raised its head and looked toward the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect, its expression filled with excitement, much like the mosquito beast. At the same time, several elders at the Black Tortoise Sacred Sect leaped into the air, heading straight for the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect. The birth of a new emperor of the Vermilion Bird is a grand event for our 4 sacred sects. The elders flew at tremendous speed, turning into streaks of light. At the White Tiger Sacred Sect, several figures, filled with joy, also soared into the starry sky. The entire Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect erupted in excitement, with countless members rushing out of their planets and flooding the starry sky. Most of them were filled with exhilaration, but some appeared uncertain and conflicted. Among them were 3 individuals, originally groomed as the new emperors of the sect. 2 men and 1 woman, all exceptional talents. Their appearances were striking, and their cultivation was between glimpse of nirvana and pure nirvana. Among them, 1 man, named Ren Tao, looked to be in his 40s, with cultivation already reaching the early stage of pure nirvana. Behind him stood 4 elders, their faces grim as they fixed their gazes on the sky. Ren Tao's expression darkened, clearly sensing the flames in the starry sky rapidly converging toward the depths of the domain. The first transformation of 9 mysteries. So what? Ren Tao said coldly. Liao Yun, Fengshan, have you 2 made your decisions? Beside this 40s-aged man, Liao Yun, a prominent figure within the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect, looked up with a determined gaze and spoke firmly. Ren Senior brother, I was part of the demonic spirits battle 3 years ago. I will not provoke Wong Lin. His voice was unwavering, and his eyes flashed with a look of contempt for Ren Tao's ambitions. Liao Yun had always been proud and talented, second only to Ren Tao among the younger generation of the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect. At first, he had been defiant of Wong Lin, but the events 3 years ago in the land of demonic spirits had left him with cold sweats every time he recalled them. He had gone from contempt to fear, and after learning more about Wong Lin through to 2 over the past 3 years, he developed a fervent respect for him. As for Ren Tao's plan, Liao Yun thought it was foolish and reckless. The only woman among them, Fengshan, fell silent for a moment before shaking her head softly, saying, If he achieves the 9th mysteries, I will honor him as emperor. If he fails, then I will follow your lead, senior brother. Ren Tao's eyes darkened, and just as he was about to speak, the flames in the starry sky suddenly flared even more violently, accompanied by a deafening roar. They merged with lightning, and their speed increased exponentially. At the heart of this star domain, The endless flames gathered and fused into Wong Lin's body, while thunder crackled all around him. He had drawn in the entire sea of flames and thunder from the star domain. Not far away, the vermilion bird's sacred emperor's face revealed rare excitement as she watched Wong Lin, her eyes filled with satisfaction. As the boundless sea of fire poured in, Wong Lin closed his eyes. He raised his right hand and pressed a finger to his chest. First seal. In an instant, a thunderous roar erupted. With that single tap, the surrounding flames condensed even faster. Behind Wong Lin, where his finger had landed, an illusory figure appeared, identical in appearance to Wong Lin, but composed entirely of invisible flames. The moment this illusory form manifested, the sea of fire blazing across the star domain seemed to submit, pressing downward in unison. Wong Lin's right hand didn't pause. He rapidly tapped his body again and again. Second seal. Third seal. In nearly a heartbeat, he struck 9 times. With each tap, the flames surged more violently toward him, and the illusory figure behind him grew clearer, until finally, Wong Lin shouted in a low voice. Ninth seal of the profound. First transformation. The illusion behind him suddenly became completely distinct. It was another Wong Lin. But this was no mere avatar. It was the spirit formed by the first transformation of 9 mysteries. That spirit took a single step and merged into Wong Lin's body. In an instant, it fused with the flame seed within Wong Lin's essence spirit, and astonishingly, a second essence spirit emerged inside him. Time seemed to stand still. Wong Lin opened his eyes, and a blazing radiance burst forth, shaking the heavens and earth. The surrounding flames danced wildly, as if in welcome. Within his gaze was the supreme thunder of heaven and earth. Wherever his eyes passed, thunder rumbled, flames soared, blending perfectly, indistinguishable from one another. Sacred Emperor. Sacred Emperor. Through their unique spiritual connection, members of the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect felt the emergence of a new Sacred Emperor, and their hearts trembled with awe. In that moment, excited cries rang out from the clan. Only Ren Tao struggled to suppress a sudden, inexplicable fear. His expression turned even darker. At that exact moment, the entire Alliance Star domain was shaken. Luo Tian, the Corpsine sect, and the scattered powers of the Cultivation Alliance were all startled into alarm.